Hello and welcome. My name is Erica George and I'm your tutor for this class. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much for the continuous encouragement. And if you're a new subscriber, thank you for taking our time to watch this video. And I hope it will be of great benefit to you. So let's get down to business. Today, our class will be on the basic skirt block. I'll be showing you two skirt patterns, the straight and the pencil skirt pattern. So do well to watch to the end of this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Hi. So we're going to start off by measuring our pattern paper with the hip circumference. We have a hip circumference of about 42, so we're going to be adding 4 inches allowance to that, and we're going to fold it into 2, then fold it into 2 again. So we'll fold first into 2. You can see my raw edges there. Then we'll fold that center point into 2, leaving the excess at the end for zip allowance. Observe. My zip allowance is about 1 inch, and I'm going to flatten up my pattern paper. Now from the waist point, I'm going to measure 9 inches down, which is the standard hip point for high waist skirts. We have 2 types of skirts, the normal waist skirt and the high waist skirt. So the standard measurement for the high waist skirt hip point is 9 inches, while that for the normal waist skirt is 7 inches. Take note. After measuring my hip point, which is 9 inches because I'm making a high waist skirt, I'm going to proceed to mark my slant line. Now the standard measurement for the slant line is 12 inches after the hip point. So even if your hip point is 7, it will be 12 inches after the 7 inches hip point. If your hip point is 9, it will be 12 inches after that. Then I'll roll my horizontal line and label it hip point, slant line, and waistline. After measuring that, I'll proceed to measure the length of the skirt. Now the length of the skirt is 23 inches. So I'm going to measure from the waistline down to the skirt length. From the center point, I'm going to proceed to mark the hip circumference measurement. So I'm going to say the hip divided by 4, which is 10.5. I'm going to mark. I'm not adding any sewing allowance because this is a pattern. So I'll mark my 10.5. Then I'll go to my waist and say my waist divided by 4, which is going to give me 7 inches, and plus 1 inch for that allowance. I'll go to my slant line next. Now, the slant line measurement depends on the type of skirt. If you want a pencil skirt, you're going to take your 10.5 inches hip measurement and minus 1 from it. So instead of having 10.5 on the slant line, you have 9.5. While for a straight skirt, that's a skirt that is not fitted at the knee area, you just say your hip measurement, which is 10.5, you transfer it down so that it will give you a straight line. Then you proceed to connect the lines. Note, I'm going to indicate the straight skirt line and I'm going to indicate the pencil skirt line. For the depth of the skirt, we're going to say the waist of the person divided by 8. That's 28 divided by 8, which is 3.5. Then I'm going to measure 7 inches down. Now this is the standard dart measurement line for high waist skirt, while that for normal skirt is 5 inches down for the dart length. On the dart length line, I'm going to impute my 3.5 so that I can get a perfect straight line. And on the waistline, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides and connect it to the dart length line. Observe. After this, I'll proceed to cut. I'm going to trim out all the excess paper. And yes, I now have my pattern for the basic straight skirt block. Next, I'll proceed to notch the dart point of the front pattern so that I can also draw my dart line for the back pattern. I'm going to repeat the same process of creating my dart at the back pattern, as I'll measure 7 inches down, take 1/2 inch on both sides and draw the slanted line to that 7 inches point. Then I'll fold my zip and place it so that I will see how balanced my skirt looks at the back. I'll proceed to label my back pattern. I'm going to label the hip points, the slant line, and I'm going to indicate the straight skirt line for the back piece and the pencil skirt line for the back piece. Observe. Now, because I want to make good use of my pattern paper, I'm going to indicate the low waist pattern. You can see I just wrote that. And the high waist pattern, I'm going to do one at one side of the front and the other one at the other part of the front pattern. I'm going to repeat the process for the back pattern too. One part of the back pattern will be for the high waist skirt, while the other part of the back pattern will be for the low waist skirt. Now I'm going to show you the slant line clearly. Now we observe that for the pencil skirt, which I initially said, it will be your hip circumference divided by 4, which for this case it was 10.5. I'm going to minus 1. That means it's giving me 9.5 for the pencil skirt. You can see that. While for the straight skirt, it's going to give me 10.5 because I'm just transferring my hip measurement down to my slant line for the straight skirt. Was helpful to someone, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Bye.